Is this a song, or am I being beamed up to the mothership? Who just screamed? Why is someone screaming? It's Careering by Public Image Ltd. off their 1979 album Metal Box. It's also number 461 out of 500 on the Spotify original The 500 with Josh Adam Myers. That's me. You probably recognize my garbage disposal voice if you've been tuning in, because you're tuning in to the only podcast where we're going through Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest albums. I hope you're listening. I hope you paid the $9.99 on Spotify and you're tuning in and doing your homework. Last week was the first official 500 as a Spotify original. We had the guest Bobby Lee. We taped it live at Just for Laughs in Montreal. We talked about REM's Document. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to it. And thank you if you already have listened to it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, a lot of people that are part of the Fleece Army have been complaining. Not about the podcast. They've been complaining that we might have changed the date of the final episode. I told you a few months ago to update your iCals with May 31st, 2028 at 6 p.m. Dag nabbit, we might drop 2 in 1 week. We got a lot of time, guys. We will make sure that the party is still going to happen May 31st, 2028 at 6 p.m. So don't change anything yet. Trust me, I've already set up the reservation of the hall. It's going to be great, so don't worry about it. Also, thank you for anybody that's been doing the Instagram stories. I want you guys to continue doing that so we can get the word out. Take a screenshot of how you're listening to the 500 and tag me at Josh Adam Myers and put a hashtag the 500 podcast. Give us a 24-hour ad on your social media as we try to spread the gospel of the Fleece Army. Now, I know we've had some weird records since we started doing this podcast. This one might be the weirdest. Released on November 23rd, 1979, as 3 12-inch 45 RPM records in a 16mm metal film canister, then re-released in January of 1980 under the title Second Edition as a traditional double vinyl album. This is the second record by Public Image Limited, or as I like to call them, and as we will refer to them for the rest of this, P.I.L. It would only be partially musically correct to call this post-punk, even though the singer was previously in the most notorious punk band of the 70s, the Sex Pistols. After he was kicked out of the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten returned to his birth name of Johnny Lydon to form P.I.L. with old school friend and bassist John Wardle, who was professionally known as Jah Wobble. That's a fucking great name, Jah Wobble. Founding member of The Clash, guitarist Keith Levine, and several rotating drummers, 3 of which, David Humphrey, Martin Atkins, and Richard Dudansky, appear on this album, although none were credited on the original release. The band melded together krautrock, dub reggae, experimental noise, disco, and more to form their anti-rock answer to what they perceived as safe, rebellious music. And on this album, they went even further into the experimental than on their debut. According to bassist Jah Wobble, some of this was due to everyone in the band being on different drugs at the same time. This album also has a unique sound that owes a debt to being in debt. As the band spent most of their advance for the record's unique packaging, they didn't have much money left to actually record it. So, they would sneak into other oblivious bands' blocked out studios after they went home and work all night, often improvising and using quickly recorded monitor mixes. As Johnny Lydon said, it paid off because although the recordings were done in scrappy little bits, it actually seemed to help. Through desperation, you can get great results. And I think they had incredible results. My guest, on the other hand, not so much. My guest this week is Kyle Kinane. You know him from the stand-ups on Netflix, Those Who Can't on True TV, and you've heard his voice on Paradise PD on Netflix, as well as being the voice of Comedy Central for many years. Kyle is a real punk fan. This was a very, very fun record to record, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the 500 on Spotify or anywhere you get your pods. Follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all social media. If you want to send us a message, tell us you're enjoying the podcast, or even if you don't like it, email us at 500podcast@gmail.com. And for all things 500, go to the website, the500podcast.com. Well, guys, nothing left to say, but here we go with number 461 out of 500 with Metal Box by Public Image Ltd. Kyle Kinane, Kyle Kinane, Kyle.
Is that really how it starts?
That's really, yeah. That's because that's me singing your name through one of the melodies from off of this album. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I mean, we can cut it. Let's cut it now.
No,
we're leaving it. We're leaving it.
Keep it in there. It all pertains.
You love punk, right?
Yeah, I'm a punk rock guy. Because I was trying to think about I was trying to anticipate what we were going to talk about with this podcast. And I was like, man, I realized that I'm not a music fan. I'm a fan of music that I like, but I'm not people that just have an encyclopedic knowledge and can listen to any genre of music and appreciate it for what it's worth. I'm not that guy.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. So then why do you feel so connected to punk rock then?
Because I was a suburban white kid in the mid-90s. I didn't grow. I mean, it wasn't like the working class fighting against the Queen or raging against the government. It was everything that led up to Blink-182 being popular. It was all my favorite song. Like I heard. You
and me, we're a disease.
Which one's? I know that.
That's Bad Religion.
Oh, man.
I don't know a lot of punk. I know
that was the first. That was the second concert I saw.
Was Bad Religion?
Was Green Day opening for Bad Religion? If you want to go back to 1993.
That's right around. Do you have a time?
That was Dookie came out. That was right before that album came out, and everybody was going nuts about Green Day before that album came out, and then it came out, and it was that middle of it's like right when you're 14 or 15 years old and you find something. Yeah. Now everybody likes everything, which I think is great. Everybody incorporates everything. You see like a hip hop fan, but that's wearing a spiked leather jacket and stuff. Like everything's mixed together.
Oh yeah, right
and
now.
And I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. I'm too old to be territorial about something I liked when I was 15. I got to be all protective of it. Please mix it all together. It's the only hope we have for human beings getting along is to mash all this shit together and just eliminate all races by becoming one and get into everything. But So I started listening, when I was a little kid, I heard Plastic Bertrand. It's a French band, and do you remember National Lampoon's European Vacation?
Of course.
Do you remember when they have to go, they get to the Louvre, and it's
I
was a little kid, but I'm like, oh, I want more music to sound like that. Yeah, I'm like, where's that music?
And so you found that in
I found
punk rock.
That song, yeah.
Okay.
And I want, but I'm a kid. I don't have older brothers. I don't have anybody introducing me to stuff. And I wasn't in with a crowd that interested. So I'm like, well, I guess. And nobody was even showing me skate videos. Skate videos was the kind of plug-in for a lot of people to get into bands back in the 80s. And even then, I didn't get or if I watched a skate video at somebody's house, I felt like a nerd. What band is this? Hey, what band is this one? What band is this one? So then I watched Thrashin'.
That's a movie?
It was a movie, a skateboard movie.
I only know Gleaming the Cube.
Oh, this was before Gleaming the Cube. Okay. Which there was hints of music, in Gleaming the Cube. You could hear some of it when he's listening to headphones. He's listening to Suicidal Tendencies and stuff. And I would hear that. I'm like, yeah, I would see Suicidal Tendencies a T-shirt. I'm like, I think I'm gonna like them, so I buy a tape.
Yeah. So what were the bands that out of the punk rock era that you really felt a connection to? What were the bands?
Well, so Thrash, and I heard Circle Jerks on that
great
movie,
band.
And then I was just in high school, and you're trying to find stuff, and it was when Rollins' band were Liar,
yeah,
and it was still too heavy. I was still wanting music to be fun. I wasn't a tortured teen. Kids are oh, we listen to Nine Inch Nails. I'm like, that's kind of all right, but I'm still goofing off. I'm still making jokes, and that's a shitty soundtrack if you're trying to have fun. I didn't have a tortured youth, and it was the early to mid 90s resurgence pop punk, and it was fun. It wasn't like angsty and miserable. It was like a good time. You go and it wasn't violent. It wasn't, you hear stuff about like the OC bands, like Southern California bands, were all beating the shit out of each other, and half of them are skinheads and all this. I'm like, man, Chicago was like, yeah, we're all dealing with just being Midwest, and maybe life doesn't work out, so let's mosh, but nobody's throwing punches.
So let me ask you this then. So then you're listening to P.I.L. for the first time about a week ago.
Yeah, well, because then I heard Ramones, and then you hear Black Flag, and then you start going to the history. Like, you're getting all the contemporary bands, but they're like, all right, somebody covers a Black Flag song. Somebody covered Pink Lincoln's covered a Wire song. So you start getting into the history and like, all right, let's look at it. And you get then all those compilations, those like quick money grab compilations where you could tell all these bands' licenses or whatever went up. So like, the early days of punk, and it would be like Television or something. You're like, what is this? This is, I think, my parents listen to this. I don't know what this is.
Marquee Moon.
Yeah. So like, I don't know what these bands are. I was like, man, it's all right. And then you hit a Ramones song. Like, yeah, more of that. That's what I want.
So it sounds like to me that the punk that you'd appreciate was where like you kept mentioning the Ramones. You mentioned Circle Jerks. Like those are some of like the go-to punk bands.
Yeah, like
right?
I like the fast music. I didn't want some art school shit.
Okay, well then, how did you feel about P.I.L? Like, how did this album Metal Box, like, what did that bring up to you?
Well, all right, my knee-jerk reaction was that it sucked real bad. My try to not be knee-jerk about reactions, because you're usually incorrect and you sound like an asshole, is that like it's not my thing. It's not. I listen to music. What purpose does music serve in your life? You know,
mine.
Like, well, in anybody's life.
It's just enjoyment. It's like there's something about music that just gets into my soul. And as I was prepping this and listening to this record yesterday, it just was like I went from this to some other stuff because I was like, well, I've listened to it 4 times already today, and I was just listening to certain songs and I was moved. Like I might hear music a little bit differently.
I was moved to listen to another band. The first song's 10 minutes long. No song. What are you, fucking Beethoven? You don't need a 10-minute long song. And if I can skip from like beginning, all right, I got it. 2 minutes in, same thing. 4 minutes in, same thing. 6 minutes in, I'm not listening to the last 4 minutes.
Okay.
Same, just bleep, bloop, squing, wing, wing, bunk, bunk,
okay.
Squing, wing, wing. I'm like, it doesn't serve any purpose to me. I'm sure it's an important band to somebody. I'm a shitty music fan. I love cover songs. I love greatest hits albums. God. Yeah, give me the sandwich and cut the crust off. I want that shit. Give me I'm fine. Make fun of me. I'm a shitty music fan. But Public Image Limited served no purpose to me.
Really?
I put it on and I felt nothing, and you could tell it just felt like pretentious art rock shit, which I have to think about what it was when it came out. Because it was, 79? This album came out 79?
So our album is number 461 out of 500. It's
I can't believe it made 500 albums.
Well, we're going to find out why.
Somebody's doing a favor.
It's
what was 462? Fucking spooky sounds for Halloween.
462.
Number 7? Jesus Christ, they're running out of ideas.
All right, so it's the second album, Metal Box, by Public Image Limited, released on November 23rd, 1979. That is 9 days after I was born, and it was produced by the band itself. And
couldn't tell.
And so I want to say this. I basically had almost the same reaction as you. Mm-hmm. I thought this album was going to be horrible because I put the first song on, and it was. I hated the vocals, the lack of melody, the pounding, repetitive bass, the bad edits, the mishmash of noise. And what was funny was I did my pass on the record where I go through it and I go song by song and I write how I felt. And it was very negative, okay? It was very negative. Then one morning I got up and it all started with the song Poptones. Yeah. That got in my head, and then everything else fell in place. The cool thing was that all the stuff I hated about the record began to be the things that I loved about the record. I love Johnny's voice and the weird lyrics. I love the lack of melody because that became a melody. The bass became the star and that energized it. I love the weird, horrible edit shifts and memories, the noises. all became important to the song. And now, if you had talked to me 2 days ago, I wouldn't have said this. I think this is a brilliant record.
Well, but that's I go with these knee-jerk reactions. I can't, like I said, I'm not a music fan in the sense where I'm going to wipe my slate clean and sit down and listen to something from new. And again, like, okay, you got to look at the time and place that it came out. All right, post-Sex Pistols. And so Johnny Rotten's always kind of like, from what I know about him, seems just contrarian. Like you pick which element of punk rock you want to be. Some people just want the fast music. You know, they just play fast, and then whatever their life is their life. They play fast music.
Yeah.
Some people incorporate elements into their life. And Johnny Rotten, I think, was a dude that took it into his life. Like, oh, I'm going to be against the status quo. Well, what happens when punk rock becomes a status quo? Well, you start putting the prefix post onto the thing you used to do.
Sure.
So post-punk, which means now I got to challenge the aesthetic that I was already help establish. Oh, to be contrarian, I got to go against that, which seems like an exhausting way to live. You know? That's why I saw, like, there's somebody weird. There's something like Ben Weasel from Screeching Weasel. It's a guy that, like, now is a full right-wing dude.
Republican?
And I think it's the status quo was
Everybody was liberal.
in the 80s. The status quo was, Reagan and AIDS and gay people died. So it's like, oh, we got to go against the status quo and support all this. Now everything's like much more open and accepting, and especially in a punk rock environment, it's like this is a safe place. You can come here, you can be whoever you want. And then you got some guys going, oh, well, I got to be the opposite of this now. Whether they are just being contrarian or they truly are like, oh, I'm learning about, I changed as a human being as I grew, which that's what I like to see. I mean, maybe I don't like to see somebody turn into a shitty, conservative, but
yeah,
I don't know what I want to see. I don't know if I want to see old punk rock guys become more conservative, or if I want to see old punk rock guys still trying to like find what's left of their hair to push into a green mohawk. Like, what's sadder?
All right, let's dive into the record. Okay, so like you mentioned at the beginning, the first song is Albatross. Now, this is the longest song on the record. My initial thought was, how many songs are on this album? Because I don't know if I'm going to make it through. Mm-hmm. It feels like they put the first song to be a test whether the listener would keep listening through it and continue on to the rest of the album. Little did they know, I would listen 8 times.
Yeah.
And so go ahead, Peter, play 45 seconds in for us. Just your face while listening to that is just
not good. It's not good.
It's listen.
But I'm like you could serve me like pate. I'm like, I don't eat cheeseburger. Like, so I know where I'm coming from on this.
Yeah.
I know my stunted taste in music, but I don't like that. It doesn't sound good to me. What mood are you in when you listen to that?
I was, what's
other than
funny?
researching your podcast.
I can't say it's a mood. It just, I like it now. I like it now. I don't know why. It's just I like it. I was driving and I'm not really singing along, but it's just keeping me.
Oh, you didn't hum that one?
Honey, hi for the Albatross.
You're already doing it. You're already treating it with more respect than it deserves.
It sounds. It's there. First of all, the first thing I noticed that there is no mid range in this song. It's all highs and lows, and it also just sounded like a bad recording of a rehearsal jam. Which makes sense because this was recorded in one take with the band improvising everything.
No shit.
Including Johnny making up the lyrics.
Yeah, and how could, all right, that's really in the face of modern music where you practice a little and try.
It's just like, no, should we do that again? No, it's perfect. You mean it was just yeah, that's good. It's pretty. Leave it that one.
I mean, if you take the element of punk rock, which is not giving a shit, nailed it, guys.
They nailed it. In an allusion to Samuel Taylor Coleridge's 1798 poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the word albatross is sometimes used metaphorically to mean a psychological burden that feels like a curse.
Can't believe you just came up with that off the top of your head.
I know, dude, I'm just a treasure chest of information.
Yeah.
Lydon said that the lines "getting rid of the Albatross, sowing the seeds of discontent" were a reference to the Sex Pistols' former manager Malcolm McLaren and his bragging and pontificating that he took part in the riots outside the American embassy. I didn't know that happened.
But wasn't the Sex Pistols a boy band essentially anyway? They were assembled by the manager.
I see. I don't know the history of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, man. Sid Vicious never even played bass. They gave him a bass. Like, you're fit the part, and they gave him a bass, and they turned it down because he couldn't play.
I liked Albatross. It's not my favorite on the record, but it's definitely one that, as I listened to it, I started to dig more. But song 2, I loved, and that's Memories. Now, this was the single released before the album, and it sounds like a punk band trying to play disco, which I guess it sort of is. There are some really obvious edits on this and others on the record. Peter, play minute 2, second 47.
That one I was all right with.
This song is great, dude. This song is
because
great.
It sounds like Stop Making Sense.
What is that?
By the Talking Heads. But I don't know what came before.
I love this song. I loved everything about it. I loved his lyrics. I loved the weird edit. I loved that this sounded so do-it-yourself. But what I liked the most was the line, "This person's had enough of useless memories." Which is not something you would expect from something that has been just thrown together. And if he's just spitting out these lyrics like stream of consciousness, like he's coming out with some pretty like prolific words. Which useless memories of yours can't you let go of?
Just dumb, like the dumbest, like I know the specific smell of my grade school cafeteria.
Oh God, yeah, I smell like library books. Take me back.
Like I know this. I can like if you gave me like 5 different cleaners, I could pick out which one was that. But that's the smell is sense of smell is tied closest to memories.
You know what's funny that you say that? Like I can't tell you how many times throughout a week that I'll just be somewhere. It could be at the gym, could be at the mall, whatever, and I'll smell something that reminds me of cocaine. I don't know if you've ever done it. But it's got that distinct smell and taste, and it's just like
something stepped on. So
yeah,
it's like whatever they stepped on it with.
Oh, is that somebody got baby laxative around here?
You got pent up baby?
Because I got a shit now.
You got a stuck baby? Is that what you got? Because I'm feeling like, let's go dancing. I know which pair of Airwalks I wore when I worked at a donut factory when I was 17. I remember the color, the make of them. I could look at a whole series of I had dozens and dozens of Airwalks. That's what I was wearing. Vans, skate shoes, all this. I remember that pair specifically. I remember the color. I remember the colorway of it. They weren't cool shoes. One like Nike Air Jordans or anything like that. But I remember that. I remember. Fuck, man. Now you're like. Now I just will remember stuff, but I don't think it's useless because I
don't think it is either. Like
I think being a comedian, like you have to remember nuance to things.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I'm a detail oriented guy when it comes to telling a story.
I don't write good jokes. I just I could tell you a bad joke in such detail you don't realize it's a bad joke because I've infused it with so much detail.
Yeah, everybody, they're going on the ride with you.
Yeah, it's like a lifelike painting when somebody's like, it's very lifelike. What's it inspired by? That guy's face. I painted his face and it looks like his face. There's no inspiration. I'm just really good at the details.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's take it into Swan Lake. All right, it's also called Death Disco. Now, this is just a shitty dance song, but it gets you in the guts.
I could see him like making fun of disco at that era because that was opulence and over the top, and all those bands were like, we got to be the opposite of this thing.
Funny that you mentioned that. So this was first recorded and released under the title Death Disco in June of 1979, then remade for Metal Box under the title Swan Lake due to the guitarist Keith Levin's attempt to quote the lick from Tchaikovsky's famous ballet score. Now, it was written as a last request to Johnny's dying mother that he wrote her a disco song to play at her funeral. As he recalled, when I had to deal with my mother's death, which upset the fuck out of me, I did it to partly through music. I had to watch her die slowly of cancer for a whole year. I wrote Death Disco about that. I played it to her just before she died, and she was very happy. So, you aren't wrong, because this is the anti-disco song, but that is...
Imagine you're about to die from cancer, and then you got to listen to this on top of it. play,
Peter, play minute 1, second 30. He definitely puts the pain in disco. But you have to figure that, you can hear that pain in his singing, the way he's like he's really singing from the gut. This has to be cathartic to him because he's never portraying his punk credibility while doing this.
No, but I love that, he's like this champion of the working class, but then you make music that nobody in the working class wants to hear. Like, you can just get out of a coal mine and that's what you're going to put on in the car on the ride home? Not a chance.
This is a fun album to drive to. I'm going to tell you that right now. But here's some cool things about it.
You must have a nice car.
Listen to these lyrics. Here we go. Never, no more, hope away. Final in a fade. Watch her slowly die. Solid in her eyes. Choking on a bed. Flowers rotting dead. Seen it in her eyes. What's the soundtrack you want played at your funeral?
Oh, man.
Your last request.
Do you want people to cry?
That's your call,
man. Because if that's a funeral, do you believe, this is where I have questions. If you believe that you're dead, then it doesn't matter, so you could just fuck with people because it'd be hilarious.
Oh, I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah. Monster Mash.
He was riding up the
It's a great song. It's a song about unity.
And people are just like, he had so much more life. He did the mash.
It's like, and everybody has to sit there confused, angry that that's playing. But this, it'll be written. I'll have it signed by me. No, on repeat.
It's right there. It's on paragraph 4, page 6.
That's my only will is play Monster Mash at my funeral.
All right, moving on. Poptones. This might be my favorite song on the record. So this was one of the first songs recorded for the album, and I think this one is one of the few songs on the record that is probably the most accessible. Like you mentioned, Memories, but this one feels like a real song, and I do like the way it sounds. Thought it should be a breakdown of a far bigger song, not a full 7 minutes and 49 seconds. Peter, play minute 2, second 58.
A drive to the forest in a Japanese car. The smell of rubber on concrete tar. The hindsight does me no good.
That is fantastic. That's punk rock. That's disco. That's dub. That's 5 different music styles put into one. Plus, there's some cool facts about this. So, according to John, this was inspired by an article in the newspaper, the Daily Mirror, about a woman who had been kidnapped and sexually assaulted in a car by a gang of men. Dear God, who later left her in the woods. Good Lord. The kidnappers were later identified by her from a song on a tape they played repeatedly, which was found in their recovered car. This is pretty deep, but that's why I think the song actually matches that story. It has to be, pushing at you and just kind of squeezing you with those noises. So I don't
want to go. I'm glad it was made. I'm glad the song was created and is, shining light on that horrendous activity. It's never I gotta clean the house. Let's put on Poptones.
This is a clean house.
Put on the kidnapping and rape jam from Public Image Limited.
The
dishes.
I think this is cleaning. I did the dishes to this, but let me ask you this.
You're sick.
Well, I do have some problems. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. What tape or CD have you had on repeat in your car the longest?
Back in the day, tape-wise, I remember I made, before Me First and the Gimme Gimmes came out, I made a cover tape of all these punk bands doing covers, and I think I probably blew it out on Pink House's, the John Cougar Mellencamp song, but Avail covers it, and they kick the shit out of it.
Really?
They just take a song like John Cougar Mellencamp, it's all about, the hardship, like Avail's the working man's band out there.
Oh, wow.
But when they're back now, I'm going to go see them at Riot Fest. But that's when Pink Houses, I just loved how punk rock would take these songs that you wouldn't give a second, a second listen to. It's a good tune, But in like that down home, like, oh, I can't listen to this. I'm punk rock now. And I've gotten all of a sudden for being punk rock, I got a lot of rules and I can't listen to stuff. But then Avail's like, no,
Can't
it's
be
still a good
cheesy.
song. Yeah. I mean, Pegboy's Strong Reaction. I probably had the toothpaste out on that, trying to get the scratches out of the CD.
Yeah.
Strong Reaction by Pegboy was an album that I went through.
Mine is Core by Stone Temple Pilots. That I probably listened to that 3,000 times. I have no
You are in
idea.
the thick of the 90s.
I loved Stone Temple Pilots so much.
There's an example of a song that I know you want what, like
Sex type thing.
That's a song about rape, but it's such a catchy jam, and I'm like singing along, like I'm having a good day, like listen to lyrics. Okay, roll up the windows. You know, maybe this isn't the one you blasted the gas station. Like, who's partying tonight?
All right, careering. This is haunting. To me, this sounds like an alien invasion. The band was still in between drummers on this one, but this time bassist Ja Wobble played them. Kevin Levine put down the guitar and only played the Prophet 5 synthesizer on this, and it keeps it dark, haunting, and unsettling. This is a little psychedelic dub ditty, and I loved it. Originally I had written, I didn't like it, but then right next to it, I said, at the fourth listen, I loved it. This is about an Irish Republic Army or IRA gunman who is careering as a professional businessman in London. What are the best? I
like that one. I like it because it's like a soundtrack. Like you put that on, and like if you have that in headphones and you're walking down the street, you're like, all right.
Oh yeah, dude, that'll definitely set
some
the
of the
mood.
tunes, like okay.
I see somebody's coming around a little bit.
No, let's not push it. But I'll slink around in the shadows to that one.
Okay, what's the worst job you've ever had?
It was called West LA Music off Cahuenga Boulevard. They're no longer in business, but even if they were, I would still say that place sucks. It was just the environment was awful. Like I always did warehouse stuff. I always did like manual labor because my idea was like, I'll do whatever I want. I'm not gonna go to the
dude,
gym.
you've got that manual labor look. Like,
But
I'm not gonna lie,
but
dude.
I didn't do
Like,
carpentry.
Look at you, for Christ's sake.
I didn't do carpentry or anything. Like I just unloaded trucks. Like
That's the perfect
Yeah.
job description.
manual
for what
labor
you look like.
that doesn't even need any sort of common sense.
Like you look like you should be wearing one of those back braces that go.
I wore weight belts. to stop you from getting a hernia. Still got one, but that was from coughing after smoking a bong. But I was working at this place, and I thought it was like, it's like a music instrument store, and they did a lot of studio stuff. And I thought it was going to be cool. I'm like, all right, well, I like musical instruments, and so I'll be around that. And you unload them, tag them, put them in a warehouse. When people sell them, they move out. So it was like a Guitar Center type place, but it was absolute pandemonium in there. Like the salesmen would fight each other, like fist fights in the showroom
While customers are in there.
yeah, it was bonkers. And then I remember like the singer from Journey was in there.
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry was in there, just in like not an Adidas tracksuit, but like the Ross version of it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh shit, Steve Perry. Like, oh man, and everybody's like, who? Like, Steve.
How do you not know Steve Perry?
Exactly. And you work at a music store. But then everybody lost their shit when Brian Austin Green was in there.
He was a lot hotter at the time. Steve Perry dropped out.
He wasn't hot either. It was 2005. Everybody's like, Brian Austin. Oh man, hey Brian Austin Green. Hey man. I'm like, who? What?
Steve Perry's just over there in his tracksuit.
Steve Perry
is anybody gonna help me?
Trying to get help. I'm like, this guy's sitting on residuals of Don't Stop Believing. This guy could buy 9 of these stores, you fucking idiots. And meanwhile, the dude who was in Melrose Place or whatever needs a new turntable.
Get it right. Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh,
dude.
my apologies.
Far.
My apologies for my lateral garbage confusion.
All right, the next song is Socialist. Now, I really did like this one. It's an instrumental, and it's really catchy. The following song after that is another instrumental, Graveyard. This one, to me, has a very Clint Eastwood mood. And from what I've been told, everything on the guitar part was improvised. If you want to listen,
you don't have to tell me this album was improvised.
I know that, but if you want to listen to these people and really be able to develop your own opinion about it, go to Spotify to listen to these 2 songs. All right, that takes us to number 8, The Suit. Now, this might be one of my favorite songs on the record. Peter, play minute 1, second 56.
Tennis on Tuesday, sipping champagne. Football on Sunday, home on the train. It is your nature.
Tennis on Tuesday, sipping champagne. I love that. I love that. This is one of the few songs that I was like singing. This is when I knew I liked it, because I was waiting to go up at the Comedy Store, and then I just started saying, tennis on Tuesday, football on Sunday, a geeble a dooba.
Yeah, I guess if you like Johnny Rotten's voice, then you're like,
I'm really enjoying it.
If you're on with like a singer or somebody, like I'll listen to Slash in whatever garbage outfit he's a part of.
What do you mean, like band-wise? I thought you meant like outfit.
No, like whatever Slash is.
I thought you were talking like you'd be into Slash and,
like,
Lululemon.
Slash has a duet with Kid Rock. I'm listening.
Yeah, I love Slash.
I'm gonna
too.
listen for Slash in whatever he does.
Ja Wobble played and recorded the backing track of drums and piano for this as his attempt at a cover of Fats Domino's Blueberry Hill. When Johnny heard it, he flipped and wrote the lyrics to it quickly. Lydon described this as being about people of low origins trying to be posh, but it's specifically about one person in particular. According to Keith Levin, it's about fashion designer Kenny McDonald, a friend of Johnny's who made the band suits. But because he didn't treat Johnny like a star and kiss his ass, Johnny decided he hated his guts and wrote this nasty song about him. Who is someone that you absolutely hate?
Oh, I bet I've waited till my 40s to get confrontational. I flipped a dude off on my bike ride today because I was on a fire road, which is like an access road to get up to some trails.
Yeah.
And I'm all the way to the right. You know, in America, how you drive on the right. And this guy's on his phone staring, and he starts veering off right in front of me. And I'm like, I'll get around him. But then he looks up and he's like, "Whoa, man, hey, give me a heads up or something." I was like, "Get off your phone."
Yeah, that's on him.
And then I'm just riding. I'm trying to get. I just hear, "Yo!" and I just gave him the finger. So fuck that guy. But I don't know about hate. I don't know what he's going through.
Is there anybody that sticks out to you that you just can't stand?
No, I mean, I have to like, this is a more Buddhist answer than I was ready to give, but like I think I have to look at myself and why I hate somebody.
Yeah.
Like, what is my reason for hating somebody? Are they truly evil, or do I just not like the way they're living their life? And then what does it matter if it doesn't affect me? Why should I be hateful towards them? I know I'm trying to sound. I know it sounds like I'm trying to be diplomatic with my answer, but I am trying to be better, because I would have recurring things. You know, I get a road rage incident, and I just sit with it. I'll sit with it for weeks.
Oh, I'm just like that.
I remembered, like, I'm talking about like useless memories, descriptions of cars, license plates, what the driver looked like.
There was a dude. So
I remember that. I remember a guy. I remember a Nissan Altima back where it was the rounded back ends with no hubcaps, and the guy was bald with a big black beard, and he just fucking wouldn't let me merge and like almost ran me into the shoulder, and I was like, that guy.
Yeah.
I remember that guy. It was about 3 years ago. I'm like, I'm going to remember that guy.
I remember when somebody tried to run me off the road back in 2009. I still remember this car, Toyota Corolla. Just literally, we were getting off we were going onto the 2 off of Glendale Boulevard, and he just, like, we were all trying to get into that lane, and I guess he was just trying to get in, and then eventually just started coming over. Like, it's either I hit him, or I had a Jeep, and I drove in literally off the road into almost a ditch, and like I was able to like get back on. And then he just took off. Could have killed me. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah, this was this thing. Like I'm trying to merge onto the highway, and I'm clearly in front of you, and I'm running out of space to get over, and I'm about to get over, but instead you just speed up and then corner me into the. I'm like, but so I hate that guy.
Yeah,
and I still hate that guy. And I try to like, well, what was going on in that guy's life that day that he like? I don't give a shit. I hate that fucking guy. If he died, it's okay.
Good. Actually, I just got some good news for you. He actually
did. That guy die?
He died. Yeah.
Cool. There's a Nissan Altima with no hubcaps for sale.
All right, Bad Baby. I think this might be the first song where the vocals actually had a melody. This is so loose and thrown away that you can even hear Johnny giving directions to drummer Martin Atkins after he seemed to drop the beat. Peter, play second 54.
Stop, start again.
The reason this sounds so unsure is because this was a recording of Martin Atkins' actual first audition to play drums in P.I.L. This is just everything about this just keeps getting more and more thrown together. It's like, oh, this track right here, that was the audition.
First gig.
All right, well, what was your first gig like?
I worked at a gas station in suburban Chicago and always knew I wanted to be like, I wanted to try stand-up, but it wasn't cool. It was like 1999 and stand-up was not, it was like still the end of the boom.
Yeah.
Not this boom that we're in now, but
Yeah.
the end of the 80s boom and stuff. So I didn't know where to go. And also again, this whole trying to be punk rock. What, are you go on stage and entertain people on purpose? That's not punk rock. You're going to be in their face. And I'm like trying to write jokes. So there was an audition like when HBO had the Aspen Comedy Festival and they did this open casting call at Zany's downtown Chicago. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a day off work. I'm going to go do this 3 minutes. I've been writing jokes because I was going to school for writing, but all the stuff I was writing in these classes were really just stand-up bits.
So your first real stand-up show is going to be an audition for Aspen Comedy
Yeah,
Festival.
because I didn't even know what it was. I just didn't know how to get on.
That's which is great, too,
I didn't
by
know
the
how
way.
to get on stage.
But Kyle, that's great to know that you're going into something that everybody else, the stakes is so high for, and you're just like.
But I didn't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you're comfortable. Like, I mean, you're as comfortable as you're going to be. You've never experienced it.
But like I didn't know what open mics were. I had no idea how comedy works. I literally had to sit there at my job at a gas station, read the newspaper, and go like, "This is for stand-up comedians. Show up here at this time and sign up." I'm like, "Oh, okay." This was a pre-internet for me, so I didn't know how to look up comedy. Where do you start comedy? I had no idea. And so I drove down there, and it was at like 11 in the morning because it was an audition. It wasn't.
Yeah,
You know, like when they do them here at the clubs, but it'll be during the day, so it doesn't fuck up a show.
Yeah.
And it's the preliminary round. So it's comics from Minnesota, Michigan, India, all Midwest dudes clamoring for this shit. I'm like, oh man,
I hope I get this, yeah?
yeah. I'm like, I guess it's a big deal. And I did my 3 minutes, and I didn't get any laughs, but it's all comics. Nobody was getting laughs.
Nobody
unless you were
was,
playing
yeah.
in the back of the room. I didn't get booed. I'm like, all right, cool. I didn't get booed. And then I went out to my car, and I think I had like $300 in parking tickets because I know I would always go down. I would always drive to the city for shows, and it'd be after the meters would be
6
done.
p.m., yeah.
So I didn't know. I'm like nobody checks these things. So I just one ticket after another after
You were
another.
just like,
That's
punk rock, yeah!
Punk rock. I'm more broke than I thought I was. Just trying to chase my dream. Well, foreshadowing. But yeah, so that was my first gig. And then I went at the college I was going to, at Columbia College. I saw a dude in my class who was on that. I was like, hey, man, you did that comedy thing. How do you do that? And he's like, oh, there's open mics at all these places.
Open mics?
Yeah, I was
For
like,
comedy?
he's like, you go sign up. And I didn't know anything. You go sign up and get 5 minutes. So that's how I started doing comedy.
Oh, that's great. All right, No Birds. This song started with so much promise. Then it goes to hell really, really quickly.
Somebody's coming.
You got a
around.
little taste of it? Play it for me, Peter. I actually do like the bass and the drums together. You know what? I don't want to just shit on this completely, but Johnny said, "No birds do sing" is a line from a poem by John Keats. I just borrowed a bit of it because it suited this particular rant about suburbia. You grew up in suburbia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, but it was the inspiration for so much art that you like for people bitching about suburbia. So you have to give it some credit for being there.
Well, he wrote, No Birds, which you love. Not. It sounds like Johnny went out of his way to make this melody as tuneless as possible. What kind of neighborhood did you grow up in?
See, if I was being punk rock, I'd be like, this is my favorite song. Just to be contrarian. I'd be like, oh, you don't like it? Actually, this is the best song I've ever heard.
So we were talking about that you did grow up in the suburbs. What effect do you think that had on you?
I don't know. I mean, I've done jokes about it in the past, but it's so easy to get sucked into it because I always thought like my impression was if like you grew up in a city, you were going to be exposed to so much different culture and walks of life, and you might grow up faster because you're getting more experience.
Yeah, I get that.
But you're also exposed to so much more diversity. Or if you grow up all the way in the country, in the sticks, you get nothing. You either learn about hard work because you're on a farm or doing some so you understand work ethic, and maybe there's something there like, oh, I got to get out of here. I got to move to the big city. But in the middle is the suburbs where you have no real opposing force other than boredom, and that you just medicate for. So
Yeah.
I just,
A lot of field parties.
Well, no, we didn't have fields. That's the country.
No, there's like the suburbs could be like a mixture of city and sticks. That's what I had, at least.
Well, we just had the taupe stuccoed mundanity.
I know what you're trying to say.
A boring backdrop of just driving around smoking pot, and then that's what we do every night. And then that's where all the bands were playing because they were all ages shows. So in the city, it'd be a 21 over because it's in the clubs and everything. But all ages shows, you needed to get people in from all over the Chicagoland area, not just in the city. You got a lot of kids that are 14 years old. They don't have any way to get in the city, but they could ride their bike to a VFW in Elmhurst. So all these shows were like the skateboard kids, and like you start seeing everybody at the same show. And so that was that weird kind of angst, but everybody was still having fun because, again, nobody had this major oppression, or if they did, we didn't hear about it. So that's what I feel about the suburbs. But it gave some people got bored enough to do something. You move to the city, but you still that's the impetus, that's the inspiration for a lot of stuff is the suburbs and opulence and spending money on shit you don't need, like showing off for trying to keep up with the Joneses, which is just such a pointless, silly thing.
Yeah,
but don't think for yourself. Like, fall in line. Suburbs are very fall in line.
Chant. Peter, play the first verse if you can find it, because I don't think there's really a difference between the chorus and the verses in this song. This is another tough one to get through. I'm not going to lie. This is not one of my favorites. It's got this pounding, plodding rhythm with the guitar splattering noisy noodles all over it. And meanwhile, there's this chant throughout all of it. It's just saying mob, war, kill, hate.
Let me guess. Did he make something up or improvise? Was this the cymbal player's first day back on the job after he lost his hands in a mining accident?
It sounds like it's about the human nature of mob mentality.
Sure.
And maybe it's political, or maybe it's just about the mobs of like-minded pop or punk fans. What is the most ridiculous trend or fashion that you were into?
I mean, I was of the era of the giant pantsed skate punk. Remember that?
I don't remember that. It's those Jinkos?
Yeah, but right before it went to the ravers, it was just the skateboard dudes. And then the skate companies would make them purposely big, so there's a little bit of tailoring, but then the kids that couldn't afford the Plan B or Blind or whatever kind of skate company pants would just go to the Ace Hardware and
buy the biggest ones they can get.
Just get 45-inch waist Dickies Dickies jeans or Painter's jeans. And it was like,
you
what
rock
are we
those?
doing?
How long were you rocking those for?
I never had the super big ones. We did. I mean, there was the chain wallet things because, God forbid, you want your wallet falling out of your back pocket when you're in the back seat of someone's Chevy Cavalier.
You never know when you're going to get into a fight with a Russian man in a bathhouse. You need that chain.
Yeah, all I ever did was get it caught on a car seat.
Yeah,
It was the most embarrassing thing, and it was the weird idea of like, can't have it too short. If it's too short, and then you got to get your wallet out, you got to turn halfway around to look in your wallet to like find your $3.
You're stretching your obliques. You're like,
yeah.
I think I just pulled a muscle.
And then I remember remember ecstasy. Remember before MDMA?
Oh
was
yeah,
fine,
dude. Huge fan of regular ecstasy.
Oh my God,
the best.
You know how it was great
because you're in Chicago with like Bad Boy Bill and some really good DJs during that time.
Oh man, you want to go jumping Julio Perez? His sister was my Spanish teacher.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, or cousin or something. Yeah, you can go house music, Bad Boy Bill, and all that stuff. But yeah, so ecstasy, like we're all again punk rock, but then somebody's like, but drugs. But it's not punk rock drugs, but it feels good. All right, I'll try it. And it was like I remember we were all giving each other back rubs. And this is the height of like the social distortion, not the big fat skater pants, but like really trying to pull off that Mike Ness look. Of just
I don't know
like,
that look, but I can only imagine.
like rockabilly.
Oh yeah.
But
Okay.
it's like, you know, just the tank tops. Everybody got their first tattoos.
Like maybe like they've only got a radio that makes that noise like.
yeah, just like pant like black mechanic shoes, like go on like cosplay mechanic
Sure.
was Mike
Like
Ness's
the,
look.
like the way that 90% of the hardcore lesbians dress.
Yeah, but they have a skill set to back it up. Probably.
Sure.
They're gonna make you a bench out of a fallen light pole out there. The rest of us are like, I don't know, I work in customer service, but
I just want to dress like a Mumford and Son.
I dress like I'm gonna chop top a 51 Ford, but I actually am
but I got to go to Jiffy Lube to do anything.
assistant manager at a Blockbuster.
I was.
But we
It
did.
goes down.
We did. My buddy walked into this party where we were finally doing ecstasy. We're like, all right, we're all gonna do it. We're all just giving each other dudes, just back rubbing each other. And my buddy walks in. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" And we all were like, remember laying on a deck? We're laying on somebody's deck of an apartment, second floor, shitty suburban apartment buildings that are only 2 stories tall, but everybody's got a little deck. And you're like, "Hey, you're doing good, man. Nice." And laying on there, and all our chain wallets got stuck in the deck. We all had to leave our wallets.
They all went through the
They
crack.
all fell through
Yeah,
and then kinked up. I'm like, man,
it's ridiculous.
pretty sure Mike Ness and I'm pretty sure I don't think we can sing Prison Bound with any sort of realism after this is our Friday night.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. And we know what is beautiful as well? The last song on this record.
Oh,
Your
fucking
insert joke
finally.
saying finally it ended. There it is. Radio 4. Now, this weird
The
music.
last song of the album just starts all over again. That would be funny.
But if you listen to this here, Peter, play a little bit of Radio 4 for me. This weird,
like somebody's Jingle Bells CD.
yeah, it's
broke.
like a Miyazaki instrumental, but it's soothing in a way that I feel there was a point to end such an aggressive album.
It's like a cucumber water after a real mean massage.
Yes. Oh, that's a good fucking analogy,
I
dude.
paint with words.
Yeah. This features only guitarist Keith Levin and singer Ken Lockey of the band Cowboys International on drums, who previously played with Levin in the band The Quick Spurts. It's called Radio 4 because, and here's the punk rock aspect, at the time, there was only Radio 2, Radio 1, 2, and 3 in England. Who was the most instrumental in helping your career?
Oh, that's a different way to go with instrumental.
Yeah, you
All
like
right.
that?
I think very early on, because I never brought friends to comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I started, because I went and just watched. Once I did that first, they talk about that audition thing, and then I just started watching open mics for like 2 months, and I was excited to just like, oh, there's this whole new world. Like it felt like when I first heard punk rock, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, these bands are playing everywhere, every weekend. This has been going on, and now I have something. Like now I have things to do. I have to go see these bands every weekend.
That's exciting.
And then once stand up, like, oh wait, there's open mics
Every night?
Well, not in Chicago at the time.
Really? I would have thought because Chicago is such a.
There was sketch comedy
Oh,
and
so that's every
improv,
night.
but stand up was this like dirty little cousin.
Yeah.
But so I was like, wait, now I have things to do. Now this is gonna be my like. Remember when you do something, you're like, this is gonna be hard and shitty, but I can't not do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy about everything else. And the first open mic I did, and I would watch people, not the people that did well, because of course you want to come back. I watched the people that did bad. And that was always exciting. So I'm like, oh, somebody did horrible tonight, and they'd show up the next week. And as long as they weren't just doing the same jokes, but like, no, I rewrote this one. I'm trying, like, oh, it's going to be all right. You can come here and suck. You can come here and embarrass yourself. You don't want to, but it's okay. And the first time I finally signed up and did it, there was 2 guys, one guy named Monty, who lives here now, another guy named Dwayne Kennedy, who was the influence over every Chicago comic from that era. Both, like, afterwards, like, hey, that was funny, man. You should come back here. like just encouraging words from. They didn't have to. I didn't know them. I didn't know anybody. I was a stranger. Like, people don't realize that goes a long way to somebody just starting. Especially they'd seen me come in there for a couple months and just watching and studying. And the two guys that like you respect are like,
I think this guy that works at the shipyard is stalking us.
Oh, well, I was a fresh-faced youth.
You know,
You
still probably. How old are you when you started?
22.
22.
20 years. I've been doing this 20 years, man.
You looked 42 at that time.
No, I did. I was smoking about 2 packs a day at the time.
Yeah, dude. You look like you already went through a divorce.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, God. Why is he talking about like?
Weathered.
Why is he talking about all this bullshit? Talk about your life, man. You've lived.
I did nothing. I was all head burged out, man. Just writing weirdo stoner bits.
So, but what about these guys?
So that was so that like. And they were guys that like I looked up to that were good. And they would come with new stuff all the time. Like Dwayne Kennedy was the guy that would, anybody in the whole bar, if he was going up, everybody's like, oh, Dwayne's on. And all the comics came to see him. You know, to get comics pulled away from the sidebar, like, we got to see Dwayne do it.
Yeah, it's like Angelo. The way that when Angelo performed, it was like everybody, I mean, at every open mic, they would just run in to see him.
Yeah, you got a legend. You're gonna want to see this. That's the only way I can get people to come to my show. I'm like, all right, I'm going to invite people to the show. Don't worry. Dwayne Kennedy's on it, so it'll be a good show. I'm gonna suck, but the reward is that this guy's gonna be on the show, and for him to be like, "That was funny, man. You should definitely keep doing this." It's the moment your life got ruined because somebody encouraged you to do stand up. Well, I guess I'm fucked.
All right, you want to do some facts?
Yeah. What are the facts?
All right,
that we
facts. That's a good melody. The group's name came from the Muriel Sparks novel The Public Image, about a movie actress whose career is ruined, but who is freed to embark on an authentic post-fame existence. If you had to give up life in the public eye, what would make you happy doing?
Man, I'm trying to right now.
No, you're not, dude. I know. You said you're like retiring. Yeah, you're not. You're not. I just saw you at Genghis Cohen. What could you be happy
I already
doing?
know. I want to be a park ranger.
That would be good for you.
Every time I go camping, or I always ask them and try and pick their brain about it. And a lot of them.
So, like, what's the pay?
Well, no, you don't pay
benefits.
You don't pay shit, and they can transfer you on a whim because budgets are low. So they're
how much
thin.
bear shit do you step in?
They don't. You have to have backgrounds in police or fire.
You don't have that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. This is what I found out.
So
but there's different components of it that, full park rangers traveling around. You have to, you're the police and stuff when you're in these parks. You're the fire. You're the first responders of anything going on. But they're like, oh, you're a comedian. The people that give the tours, being able to do public speaking, getting people excited because, how much longer do we have this planet, let alone national parks if somebody finds oil under them.
Yeah.
So somebody that can present it in an exciting way and make people excited about it, like anything, like, who got you into something when you're a little kid that wasn't comedy or performance based, but somebody that was an adult that was excited about their job.
Yeah.
Like an adult that liked what they were doing, and that makes a kid go like, oh, I want to be an astronaut. It's not some fumbly like, well, there's a checklist and you have to make sure that the altimeters are correct. Or a guy going, yeah, we get in there. I get to wear this crazy suit. There's like only a little bit of gravity on the moon, so you can bounce, you float around. Yeah, that's the guy. Somebody who's speaking enthusiastically about something is going to get other people excited about it.
According to bassist Jaw Wobble, this album is to music what Edvard Munch's famous painting The Scream was to art. What makes you give the silent scream?
You can get, like, again, getting so caught up in stupid things. Yeah. Showbiz wise, Monty, the guy who got me, and I still, communicate with to this day. And I remember having lunch with him. He's like, man, compare and despair. Don't get caught up in that. Like looking at what other people get.
Oh, God.
Especially in this town. It's like compare and despair. That's what happens. If you compare yourself, you despair. So I was like, yeah, I'm like, oh, so-and-so got this, and why didn't I get this? And it's probably this reason and that reason. Who cares?
Dude,
what if you just be good at what you're doing and try to sow your happiness from knowing you did a good job and stop looking at money and stop looking at, and that's very easy for me to say. I made a living off stand-up.
Yeah.
I already won. I already won this game.
Yeah.
But also I'm immature. just emotionally the way I respond to things, because I never had to be mature. Don't have kids. I never had to like be an adult for somebody else. I don't have to be an adult for my job. I don't have to show up and be responsible to workplace at 8 a.m. every day, looking clean, not looking hungover. You're celebrated for your flaws being a stand-up. You're celebrated for being this, slouch of a human being. And it's hard to like turn that off and come home and be like, be a decent person.
Yeah.
Be emotionally rational. But no, because when I go out on stage, I'm like, this fucking guy cut me off, and I was like, go fuck yourself, buddy. Go cram a banana in your asshole, man. And then people laughed, and then you just get, negative reinforcement to be that jerk over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's that. But then a few nights off where I'm sitting in the desert just chilling out, I'm like, man, I really don't like who I am. I don't like myself. I don't like that guy.
Yeah.
That's why I made the mistake of like, I'm going to be a comedian because everybody thinks I'm funny. No, it's because I just screamed at every party. I was just the loud one. I guaranteed people paid attention to me, or they would just go in another room.
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between being funny and just being obnoxious and forcing people to laugh because there's no conversation happening.
All right, last one. Here we go. This is my favorite one, hence why I saved it for last. In 1986, due to their shared interest in hard drugs, P.I.L. guitarist Keith Levene was hired to record and produce the demos for the third album by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Keith and Peppers...
What year?
This is 1986. Keith and Peppers guitarist Hillel Slovak set aside $2,000 of the $5,000 budget for drugs without telling the rest of the band. I fucking love that. Mm-hmm. No, it's only $3,000. Where'd you get all them syringes from? It's part of the deal.
Found them.
It comes with Soundstage. We use Soundstage. We get syringes. What's the most ridiculous or shocking thing you've ever done while under the influence?
I mean, that's yet to be written, probably. I don't know. I'm getting weird now in my semi-retirement, so we'll see. I think again, like it's like what's your guilty pleasure? It's like I've done everything and I gotta own it. I like Saturday night. I was a loud jerk. I was a loud drunk jerk. I don't think it's ridiculous. There's a lot of nudity.
Really, you're a nude drunk.
Well, no, that's other drugs. I mean, some of the stuff is, I broke, I didn't break it. I separated my collarbone, just backyard wrestling. Before backyard wrestling was a thing, where I was just drunk on a fence, and I was like, I just yelled, body slam. There's nobody there. And I separated my collarbone from my shoulder. Yeah, just stuff where it's like, man, you really thought you were being funny, and you're just too old. Like, I still drink, and like Saturday, but like, when it's, especially when some people's personas are like, I'm a party dude. It's like, that's fine. Your 20s and some of your 30s. But it gets sad. Like I said, I like to see artists and performers grow as human beings. Not like they got to sober up, but to just do the same thing, especially with punk rock, where everybody's musical abilities are generally pretty limited. Like, how many times can you put out that same record? I'll give Jonathan Lydon some credit for constantly going like, how about this thing? Okay, now how about this thing? I might not be on board with it sonically, but I appreciate the individual going like, I got to try new things. Yeah. I got to do new stuff and challenge myself, whether it with the songwriting or sonically, musically, what it is, All
right, so what are your final thoughts on this record?
Why do you have to ask me that? It sucks.
That's basically it.
I mean, it sucks to me. This is the maturity. It sucks to me.
There it is.
But just because I like something doesn't mean it's good, and just because I don't like something, it doesn't mean it's bad.
What I'm going to say is give this album some time. Don't just listen to it once, and you will be rewarded. Kyle, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. I appreciate it, man.
You bet.
Kyle Kinane, ladies and gentlemen. This episode was a battle. I think I won. I think more people are going to... Actually, to be honest with you, I think more people are probably not going to like this record. For all things Kyle, go to KyleKinane.com. At Kyle Kinane on all social media. And listen to his podcast, The Boogie Monster, anywhere you get your pods. He also wanted me to say this. He has a line of hot sauce called T-Tops Gack Slatherin. So I think you can probably get that at his website. Also, I'll be posting his Spotify mixtape. And for all things 500, to find everybody's mixtapes, go to our website, the500podcast.com. Email us at 500podcast@gmail.com and follow me at Josh Adam Myers on all soch. August 20th, the Goddamn Comedy Jam's 5-year anniversary at the Roxy with Jim Jeffries, Big J. Okerson, Brad Williams, and more. Get tickets at my website, joshadammyers.com. Don't forget, subscribe to the 500, y'all, on Spotify. First on Spotify and then somewhere else. But first on Spotify, leave a review and rate the shit out of it. Follow my staff at Avery Funny, at DJ Morty Coyle, at JT Podcast Exec, and at Badass Wizard. Now, we just listened to P.I.L. from 1979. Here is a band called Blitz Vega with their first single, Hey Christo. They're a new UK band that features ex-Smith bassist Andy Rourke and Cobb from Happy Mondays. Our music director, Matt Pinfield, Lil Matty Pinfield, says they love Metalbox and were influenced by P.I.L. Listen to their music on Spotify. Check out the link on our website, the500podcast.com. And if you were in a band and were directly influenced by one of these albums or artists and you want your music featured on the 500 website, send us your song to 500podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you put the album and the artist that influenced you in the subject line. Next week is Whole Week with their 1994 album, Live Through This. So y'all got some homework to do. Listen to it on Spotify. Stay fleecy.